Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Thanks for hitting play on the Money Mentors Podcast. You've come to the right place for retirement lessons. And remember, if you have questions for your money mentors at Matson Financial Services, feel free to reach out online anytime. MatsonFinancial.com. It's easy to set up a quick chat there, or just give our office a call at 800-536-8907. And one of the biggest questions I think most of us have about retirement is, have we saved enough? Are we going to be all right all the way through retirement? Now, a new AARP survey finds 62% of Americans who are 50 and up are worried they won't have enough, and yet 21% have taken the time to put together an actual retirement plan. So I'm looking at the numbers here, guys. I'm guessing there's a big chunk of that 62% who could retire, but they just haven't actually sat down to run the numbers.
I see this all the time.
Yeah, this is so common.
Wow.
They've done a really good job saving. They just don't know where to go from here and how to put all of this together. It can be a scary time and an emotional time, right? You're now retiring. You don't have that, air quotes, paycheck coming in. How do I continue to generate that paycheck? Where's it coming from? When's it coming? What about taxes and health insurance and Medicare and all these things? And that's what we're here to put all together in one nice package. So this honestly happens all the time.
All of those questions and doubts and concerns, and I don't know what they end up doing is they create a fear of paralysis. And so people would rather say, well, I don't want to deal with it. So it's kind of the head in the sand type thing, even though they've done really well. They can have that retirement. It's just a matter of taking that first step. You know, that's why I love how we do things here at Matson Financial. It's not, hey, let's just look at how much have you saved? Oh, well, you can do this. The first conversation we have is about you as an individual, you and your family. What do you want to do? The numbers are going to be there, and they are what they are, unless you're 30 years old and just starting and building. But most of our clients come in either at or near retirement and need to understand that. So I love talking to them about what they want to do. How can we make those dreams, goals, and desires come true? Because as a fiduciary, that's what gets me up every morning. That's why I drive to work a little faster than I probably should. But, that's why we are Matson Financial and we are fiduciaries. It's why we're in the business.
I think, the important thing too is sometimes you may not be ready, not from the financial standpoint, from the emotional standpoint, but you don't know unless you kind of get the wheels in motion and go through that process. I've also had it tons of times where we go through this process and say, congratulations, you made it. You could retire today if you want. But Tom, I know that's not really your goal. I know you enjoy what you're doing. I know you want to maybe stick it out for another 2 or 3 years. But you tend to go to work with a little bit different attitude when you know that you don't have to be there, right? You're doing this because you want to. And I think that speaks to a lot of people in their careers is retirement seems like the end goal. But if you're finding that sense of purpose and you're enjoying what you're doing, it doesn't mean you have to retire. But if you don't start putting that plan together now, when that time comes, it's just a lot more stress, a lot more things to figure out versus just kind of coasting right into that retirement mode. And we already know where our income's coming from. We already know our tax liabilities and Social Security and all these other things are already put into place.
Well, even if you do have all the financial pieces of your retirement plan figured out, Yahoo Finance points out, guys, there are a few surprises that we might encounter, especially in those first 6 months of retirement as we're just settling in. So as you look at this list here, have you ever seen some of these surprises pop up among those you've helped retire over the years?
Oh, yes.
Big time.
Lots of times.
Yeah.
Right.
And I always preface this kind of in that first appointment or when we are getting ready to retire is, are you there emotionally? Let's talk about where you're at, because a lot of things are going to change, not just your modes of income and when they're coming in, but you've been working for 20, 30, 40 years, you and your spouse, and now you're both retired and you're spending every waking moment together, right?
Yeah.
So rediscovering some of those things that you guys like to do or going out on dates, but also having your own alone time to do the hobbies that you enjoy, whether that's golf or hunting or watching the grandkids play baseball, whatever that is, it's still having that delicate balance so we're not driving each other crazy at times. I hear that too as well. I'm going to retire 6 months earlier than him because I need to kind of figure out how this is all going to work.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just, filling that time and finding that sense of purpose. And, I met with some clients a couple weeks ago, Rob and Martha, and recently retired within the last 18 months, and he's finding time to do it, or his hobbies and his passions, right? I think he's just as busy now as when he was working, but now he's doing something he loves, right? He has a very interesting hobby where, he has this whole pole barn. He set up the model train set, and I have to see it. I told him I got to get out there and see the exhibit, but I heard it's pretty impressive. But now they're traveling, they're going to shows. It's just more time together for them, and they don't have concerns right now. They know what their income plan is. They're ready for any surprises that may come along. We can adapt. He's got a balanced portfolio, but he's just enjoying what he loves to do right now. And it was a little bit of an adjustment to go from working, and I know there was some concern over, okay, I'm not going to have that paycheck anymore. That's that emotional piece that Taylor's talking about. Mm-hmm. But once he made that plunge, he definitely has not looked back.
What are those first meetings like then in the first, 6 months or so of someone's retirement? Are regular check-ins with those clients, is that important to them just to kind of ease that anxiety about, is my plan working? Do I have enough income coming in, and addressing those concerns?
Absolutely. But I think it's just as important for me as the advisor to make sure I'm providing the service and we're providing all of the information that client needs. And I'm checking in on them saying, okay, it's been 3 months since we talked. You've retired, let's say 4 months ago. How's the income going? Do we need to adjust this at all? Because things are different, right? So having those regular check-ins to make sure that we're getting updated information from the client, we're tweaking the plan, giving them updates on just where things sit and how their accounts are performing. It's really important to be having those conversations. And I always tell clients that, that first 6 to 12 months is kind of that trial period. We're going to be tweaking income. We're going to be tweaking a lot of different things because it is all so new. But having that open line of communication is so important.
And then one of the big things we also like to do is, I appreciate when my clients give me notice that they're retiring.
I joke, right?
I joke with them. I'm like, hey, give me at least 90 days. I'm not saying you can't throw in your resignation whenever you want, but if you give me 90 days, that gives us another fail-safe, because at that point, I like to review their budget. I'm like, okay, let's look at what you've spent the last 3 months. We know you're retiring in 90 days. I want to see what you've been spending. And once I see that and show them, say, hey, over the last 3 months, your average spend, everything you've had to do and want to do, we'll say is $4,000. But when we look at your income, you're going to be getting $2,000 from Social Security. You're going to be getting $2,500 from your investments. You're going to be making more than what you're spending or what you were getting while you were working. And that really kind of helps that set in and transition from I'm getting close to retirement, I'm 90 days out, to there's my last day of work. I don't have to worry about that paycheck anymore. I know what I'm getting. I know what I can spend.
Yeah, and that's part of it too, is discussing, okay, when do we want these distributions to start? What bank accounts do you want them to go to? In reviewing that budget, there's also things that we got to review too, like, okay, 90 days from now you're retired. What about healthcare, right? So we need to sit down with Matt and talk about marketplace insurance, and then that factors directly into your income plan. Or we need to talk about Medicare, Advantage plans or supplements. There's things within that period that we're behind the scenes working diligently on. That way it's as seamless as possible when that 90th day comes and you're walking out the door.
Yeah, to have the same kind of benefits that you did while you were working. Again, good point there about healthcare. Even if you're not Medicare age, you have to have something to replace that insurance coverage too. And do you have many people, though, guys, who come to you after 6 months, a year or so, and say, this retirement thing is not for me?
Well, I had a client, love him to death, great guy. I think he's retired a total of 3 times now. So, and that was, part of it was people came to him and said, hey, will you do this job? This is what we're going to pay you. And sometimes that's tough money to turn down.
Yeah.
So he'd do it, and then, okay, well, what's on now? I'm going to retire. And then someone else, it happens. And you can't say no to an opportunity if it's something you enjoy. It brings you that purpose, and now you're not taking retirement funds because now you have money coming in that we didn't expect. Great. That's not going to hurt the probability of success of your long-term plan. It only makes things better.
True.
We'll have to talk about taxes. That's usually a big thing. And, what's your status of your Social Security if you took it, if you're under full retirement age? So there's questions to be answered. But, yeah, and change your mind. That's great. We're going to talk about it. We're going to, when you have that opportunity and you let us know as your advisor, we're going to talk through it with you.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.